You ever thought about how you can break like generational poverty and things like that, right? So I found this amazing woman named Stella, and she sells life insurance and all of that. And I used to be like, oh, life insurance salesman, right? I used to do it too, and I loved what I was doing. But here's why I did it because I know that coming from a place of poverty and coming from struggle all the time. And I remember when people used to die and nobody had the money to bury people, and the GoFundMe's come out, right? And life insurance can literally shift that for families. Like if you have a proper life insurance, right, that your parent has, and maybe they passed away, and now you actually have the money to bury them, and you may even have the money to, you know, survive or live a few years on that money, and it can break generational poverty. And so me and Stella get into talking about life insurance and what it means and the honesty of it. And she's been probably the most authentic, straightforward person that I've had about this topic, who's just said, listen, it's a tough gig, but if you are willing, you can succeed. And she has succeeded. She's an immigrant. She's somebody who her family used to work with $2 a day to make the family survive. And she has grown a multi-million dollar agency. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. So I want you to listen up and pay attention, because it is time to shift our mindset on how we think of this and how we can elevate ourselves to another level. Let's do it.
Hey, I am Stella. I run a seven-figure agency in the life insurance industry. I am excited to talk with Neena today on her amazing talk, straight talk, no sugar, just how I like it. We're going to talk about sales, how to build a business, and entrepreneurship. Let's get into it.
What's up, y'all? This is Neena Perez, and this is Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. I have an amazing guest for y'all. I think you're going to fall in love with her. Her name is Stela Roznovan, and she's a multi-million dollar agency owner, a TEDx speaker, a high-performance recruiting expert who's redefined what it means to build wealth inside, or I should say outside of traditional careers. Now, she's raised on just $2 a day in a post-Soviet Moldova. So Stella really knows what it means to actually build something when you have had nothing, right? And I love that. I mean, I was reading her bio. She's learned to speak English in 30 days. I'm still trying, and I've been here all my life. She's become a regional director with 3 million plus Globe Life organization, and now leads remote sales teams of over 100 professionals. Now, before entrepreneurship, she was classically trained as a concert pianist, right? Performing all over the world. And this is proof that discipline and artistry can translate into business mastery. I am so glad that she is here, and I cannot wait for you to meet her. So let's welcome Stella to the stage. How are you, Stella?
Neena,
How you doing?
thank you for having me. Thank you for the awesome introduction. Honestly, I sound cooler than I am. So thank you. Nice
It
to
is
meet you.
my pleasure. I'm really glad you're here. And I love the story too, because sometimes people just feel like they can't move forward, or they can't get anywhere, or they have to be where they are all their lives. And that's not true, because your past doesn't have to define your future. And so I want to get to know you a little bit, and then I want to dig into all the great stuff you're doing. So who are you actually? Because I read a little bio, but who's Stella? Who's Stella for real?
I love that you started with that because I have this tattoo. I have one tattoo and it's a phoenix. The whole idea behind
Mm,
it is redefining yourself, right?
yes.
And I actually played the Firebird Suite when I was in college. I have a degree in classical piano performance, but Stravinsky wrote this 8 movement suite. It was orchestral originally, but then it was transcribed for piano performance and it became 3 movements. It was my favorite piece I ever played. It was so, so difficult, technically and otherwise. And by the way,
Mm.
you'll find it on YouTube, me performing that suite.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's called the Firebird, and the 3 movements for the piano transcription are basically the flames, then death, which is the middle movement, and then rebirth, which is the third movement, which is the most beautiful in my opinion. So I think that redefining yourself and being able to, continually adapt to new environments, develop new skill sets, and stay creative in the process and curious is one of the most rewarding things that anybody can do.
Mm-hmm.
So, getting into sales was completely a 180 for me. It wasn't something that I thought I was going to do. As a concert pianist, I competed as a musician since I was 7. And then I was going to go to USC for grad school to do film composition and writing music for film. And then last minute, I decided I didn't want to do it. It was too lonely of an art. And I'm
Mm.
a people person. And I didn't see myself sitting in a scoring room 24/7 in the dark trying to score music or trying to practice scales. And it was a big change and it was a huge decision to make. But I realized that the only reason I was pursuing it is because it was all I ever knew.
Right.
And that didn't mean that I have to continue to do it just because that's all I ever did. I think we're capable of a lot more than what we imagine and what we give ourselves credit for. But once you just dive right into something else and give yourself no choice but to figure it out, you'll be impressed with yourself and how much you can actually handle.
And that's not an easy thing either, right? I'm sure you tussled and wrestled with that for a while because, I mean, if it is all you knew, then it's all you knew, right? Like it's not like you're just like, oh, I've tried thousands of things. If
Yeah.
that's really all you knew, that's a scary moment. That's a scary moment. So what was that moment like? What actually took you there? What actually took you to that point where like, yeah, I'm gonna actually turn on this. I'm actually gonna go ahead. I mean, was your family like, "What the hell are you doing,
Oh
Stella?"
yeah.
That
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. My mom, the traditional Eastern European mom, I mean, there's the whole there's a joke that I think it's not just Eastern European parents, but Eastern European is all I know. So, I can attribute it to my mom who's Eastern European and tough. There's this joke that they either want you to be a lawyer or a doctor, nothing in between. And I think for my mom, she realized was really, really good at piano performance and really good on stage and competing. And I started winning competitions and actually making money off of winning when I was
Mm,
so, I saw a financial reward from being a pianist really early on in my life, and my mom saw that I was good at it, and the competitiveness kind of pushed me to practice. But the reason I bring it up is because when I got into insurance sales, my mom was the first one to just completely lose it. She was like, "What are you doing? Your degree is in classical piano performance. You're supposed to go to USC. You're supposed to do film composition. Like, what in the world?" So it was a massive kind of shock, and I would be lying if I said it wasn't a disappointment at first. But I
yeah,
think that she realized that if I put my mind to something, I usually go for it and I usually do pretty well at it. Not to be braggy, but I think it's kind of lucky that I was um, hyper focused as a kid. Like my
yeah,
mom made me practice every single day, and that's a huge skill set to have. It's just when you really, really focus on something, you get it done. And it's not a matter of, you're smarter than. No, you're just more focused then. That's it. Like if you
yeah.
more than somebody else, it's not a matter of talent, it's just a matter of will and resilience, like
Mm.
training your mind to stick to it, and that's all that it is. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's really powerful, right? Because you're talking about a story of an incredible moment, right? Growing up with $2 a day, that means your parents really, really struggled, right? And really wanted the best for you and put you, playing piano or other things that they had done to make sure Stella was going to be okay, right? Even though it's $2 a day, right? Parents will do what they have to do, right? That's why Eastern European parents, Latino parents, all of us, like they're super strong. Like they're going to make it happen and they're going to take care of their kids, right? So what is that mindset, do you think? Like what is that shift that needed to happen for you? And for anybody who's listening right now, what is the mind shift that needs to happen to leap, right, for what's possible? Because those are completely different things. Playing, classically and piano and all that and winning awards to selling insurance. Like those are two.
Yeah.
I would never even put those together,
Yeah.
right? So, what is that mindset that drove you to do that?
I think, and I love that you talked about, Eastern European parents and immigrants in general. Like, I think, and like Latin parents, I think we have this sort of grit and this survivor mechanism almost.
Mhm, mhm.
And so I think there's really three things to taking a leap of faith and doing it successfully and actually coming out the other end better and stronger and making more money, if you want to attribute that to success, right? But the three things, number one would be confidence in your ability to figure it out. You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
know it, but just having the absolute confidence and determination in your skill set and your ability to
I
figure
love that
something
answer.
out,
Mm-hmm.
that's the adaptability piece.
Mm-hmm.
You really don't have to know it all, but you have to have that belief in yourself that come hell or high water, you get your hands on the wheel, you'll figure out how to drive that car. Like you're not going to crash
So
the car.
true.
You'll
Yeah.
figure it out, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is you got to get more curious about the process than the desire for the outcome. Because if you are too obsessed with getting results fast, you'll burn out really, really fast and you'll get disappointed really, really fast. But if you
Yeah.
get curious about the process, I think it's more of, and this is a very simple thing to do that people kind of overlook or don't even think about. Any statement that you make, change it to a question. Like if you're getting into a field, let's just say for the simplicity of it, I'm in sales. Let's just say get into sales. You've never done sales before. You could say nobody wants to buy from me, but then you could spin it to say, why isn't anybody wanting to buy from me? And if you
Mm-hmm.
frame it in a sense of having a
Mm-hmm.
question, you get more curious about the process. And when you actually get curious, you get creative. When you get creative, you get fun. When you get fun, you start to continue to like grow as a person naturally because we naturally desire to have progress in our lives. So the confidence to figure it out is the first piece. Then the curiosity in the process is the second piece. And then the will to continue to keep going,
Mm-hmm.
even if you don't get the results right away. It's that
Mm-hmm.
hyper
Mm-hmm.
focus, which is, it's funny because it's like the counterbalance to taking a leap of faith. So it's like you have to have a dichotomy between the two. You can't just continue to take leaps of faith when somebody's not working, or something's not working. So you're just like,
Right.
let me try this, let me try. You'll never get anywhere, right? But it's the ability to take a leap of faith to learn something, but then give it enough time and effort and curiosity and like a sense of process for it to actually work. That's the
Yeah.
piece, right?
That's
So
so good. Yeah,
yeah,
that's so good. And I like the also, like asking yourself, well, why is it that nobody wants to buy from me as opposed to nobody buys from me? And that's a shift in attitude, that's a shift in mindset, but that's also a shift in a victim mentality. And that's one of the things that holds a lot of people back because their fear of rejection, their fear of being put down, their fear of whatever, right? And it's interesting. And I love that you worded it that way. And the fact that we should be curious about the process, because that is the problem, Stella, right? I'm sure that, and you've been in the game for a minute and you've had all these recruits and you're recruiting still to grow your organization and help people grow. And I know that that is one of the things that hinders people the most, right? It's like, oh, I need to get blank and I'm not getting there. So I'm done.
mhm.
Like 3 months later, that you ask them if they're still doing that XYZ thing and they're like, "Oh no, I've moved on."
Yeah,
Right. So
yeah,
yeah, yeah. So, and I know that that also comes from your piano playing too, right? Because you had to come after school or whatever every day and practice and do the thing. Otherwise, you would have never gotten the awards or would have been as good and as proud as you are about just the piece you told us about earlier,
yeah.
right? So what is that then? How do you then drive the people that you're recruiting or people are in your team to have some stick to itiveness, right? To actually stay in the game because I just feel like most people just give up way too fast. It,
Yeah,
it just if it doesn't work like in 2 weeks, I'm done,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
How do
yeah.
you how do you how do you set them up then? How do you set them up to win? What's that thing? What's the thing you give them?
Yeah. So, we have to be honest. And a lot of people reach out to me on social media, even if they're not on my team, like they could be in a different agency or even a different industry sometimes. Also sales related, but maybe not insurance, right? So they'll reach out to me and ask me questions consistently. And one of the biggest questions is like, how do I stay motivated? How do I keep
Yeah.
going and things like that? And I have to be honest with you. I mean, insurance sales is not easy. There's a 10%
Mhm.
success rate in my industry. It's a really, really tough industry. So just like, straight talk, no sugar added, like
Yeah.
the title of
Yeah.
that's the truth. There's nothing comes free, right? There is no free lunch. And so first you got to frame the reality. And the reality is this is a really tough business. And you have to approach it from the perspective of this is not a, easy money gig. This is not this is a tough business that takes effort and dedication and commitment. And the thing that makes it the toughest is really ourselves. That's
Mm-hmm.
of it. It's not even the economy, the client base, the whatever. It's really your mentality of understanding that you may have 15 meetings set up and the first 10 meetings flop, but the last 5 are your yeses. But if you quit at the 10th, you'll never know that the last 5 are the yeses. That's
Mm-hmm.
one of the biggest missteps for people that get into a performance-based meritocracy, where like you have to drive results, you have to perform. And
Mm-hmm.
it's the same thing in anything in life. The funny thing is that you could take that commission-based environment, that meritocracy, that I'm trying to strive to be a 7-figure business owner, but nothing's working until it actually does. Like water doesn't boil until you're 212, right?
Right.
That concept trickles into everything in life. Like if you're trying to lose weight, for example, and you have a caloric deficit on a daily basis, you're not going to just drop 2 pounds tomorrow. Probably take like at least 2 to 3 weeks if you're at a system of caloric deficit every single day for those three
Right.
weeks leading up to, at some point you finally got there and you lost like a pound or a pound and a half. But a lot of people will be at week 2 and see nothing change and they're like, screw this. It's the exact same thing. So
Yeah.
understanding and framing reality of what it actually is the most important thing. Like there's a really great book. It's got a really long title, but it's called something like How I Built a $37 million insurance business in less than 7 years. That's the full title of the book. It's pretty brief.
It's a good title. It tells you exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. It's literally the systems that he built by Darren Sugiyama. It was written in the early 2000s. I want to say maybe like mid 2000 or something like that. And I remember reading this book when I was in my first few months in this business, in the insurance industry. And one of the things that he writes in the first chapter is, I'm not a motivator, I'm a clarifier. And so I think that that's really important too. So when I talk about framing reality of what the business is, of what it actually takes, and then clarifying what's your vision in it. Now that you understand what it takes, what is your vision? Because I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
motivate you to go
Mm-hmm.
after something I would go after. You
Mm-hmm.
have to understand what you actually want. So you have to clarify that. And then we build the systems around it. So you have the highest chances of success in a highly difficult industry.
Yeah, yeah. But you know what the good thing about your answer is that it's honest, right? Because if you are telling people this is going to be a work, it's going to be hard, it's going to be tough, it's a tough industry, then at least that you know that from the get, if they're at least going into it this saying, okay, I'm gonna do it, then at least they know what they're headed for. Now they might not all know all of it, but they know it's tough. I think that one of the biggest mistakes I is when people try to tell you that things are easy.
Yeah.
It's so simple. You just get this many recruits and have this many things and get this many and you're going to get 50% and blah blah blah, whatever the thing is, right? I did insurance for a little bit.
Yeah.
And you know what got me is I was at a really great meeting. Somebody who was really high up in the company. She was making like, I don't know, 700,000 a year, something ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
But she said something that hit me in the chest because she said, when you love something or you want to do something, you need to be all in. Like you got to be all in. And I realized I didn't want to be all in.
Yeah.
Because my passion, my love, my everything was podcasting and culinary, right? And I
Mhm.
was doing this as a side thing to help
Mhm.
families and things like that, because insurance is a beautiful thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If you know about it.
Yeah.
And I realized, oh, maybe that's why I am not successful. It's not because they're doing something wrong. It's because I'm not passionate about
Yeah.
it. And you know what I mean? Like I'm always thinking about my other thing and never this.
Yeah.
And so that was a really great moment for me. It was a moment of clarity for me. So I
Yeah.
love that you said that, right? Because I think it's important to be honest, Stella, right? I think
Mhm.
it's important because insurance is a tough freaking game,
Yeah.
right? But it's doable and people do it and we all need it,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
what kind of insurance actually are you building? What do you do?
Yeah, so I run an agency in life and supplemental health insurance. And I think that the good news for our agency is we have a really good client base. Like we have really good relationships that we can nurture and build on. So we mostly work with labor union members, and that's kind of our niche, which really
Oh,
helps.
nice.
I think
Nice.
insurance, if you start and you don't have a client base to work with and you got to build your book of business, oh my gosh, it's a lot of work. It's even like double the work that we have to do, right? In my
Yeah.
business, in my
Yeah.
agency. So that definitely helps with having those established relationships and a client base that's constantly incoming. But even with that, like it's still a tough gig, right?
Mhm.
And you're totally right about what you focus on, you expand. So if your
Mhm.
mind is not really in it, or you're not really like, listen, here's the thing. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I woke up and was like, you know what, life insurance is my life's work. It's
Right,
not
of course.
like, to be your life's work. You don't have to lie to yourself and say like insurance is the best thing that's ever happened to me. It's not it, right? And you can be passionate about helping people. You can be passionate about the process,
Mm.
about building relationships. I think that's beautiful. But for me, I think there's a lot of ways you can leverage your skill set and your curiosity and your mindset in a business like this. And the reason that is because it is performance based, it's meritocracy.
Mhm, mhm,
People often
mhm.
ask me, like, was it difficult to get into a commission based position? Was it scary and things like that? And the reality is that I think everything we ever do is commission based. Like you're never going to get free money. You have to work for money. And that
So
is
good. So
right.
good. Yeah, even if you're an employer, right? I mean, you're pretty much working and they have to like what you're doing in order to pay you.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And guess what? Layoffs happen all the time. Like,
All the time.
all the time. So it's like you're always going to be under a stressor of having to put work forward in order to get reward for it, which is money. The only
Yeah.
difference is, in my opinion, on like a hourly based or salary based or whatever, is there's a cap. Like there's really a cap to what you're going to make. Which
Right.
some people that signals security. To me, that signals limit. Like it's very different
Mm,
depending on how you perceive your reality, because we all operate from our own realities, right? My reality is salary based, hourly based is a limit. You're telling me that the only worth I can bring is my time, and my skill set is only this good because otherwise I can't make more, right? Like
right.
that to me is a limit. To some people, it's a cushion and it's a security, blanket, and that's totally fine. I just think you have to be real with yourself and ask yourself, what kind of persona are you? And what
Mhm,
reality you
mhm,
operate from. But I
mhm.
don't think people should ever look at commission as a negative just because society tells them it's scary. It's just a
Yeah.
different level, you know?
Yeah, 100%. I think, that this education system that we're in was built to build employees, right? And so it is. I mean, that's what you're. But that's why they have the bells at certain times and the lunches at certain times, is to make you robotic and make you have this thing. And so when people think about commission based, or at least I used to. Let me just speak for myself. I used to always think, oh, sleazy car salesman.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Sleazy
Yeah.
car salesman.
Yeah.
And it's not true. It's not true. And I realized that, especially when I started to work for myself and build my own businesses and stuff
Mhm.
like that. I'm like, it's interesting. It is, what the sweat equity and the equity that you put into it is what you're going to receive eventually if you keep at it. Right.
Yeah.
And insurance, I think, is something, at least for me, I feel like it, especially life insurance, um, is to me, a generational poverty breaker. Right.
Yes.
And I tell people, and that's why I got into it, a while back when I did, because I was like, listen, I'm Latina. I was born and raised in poverty. All of the things. I've built my own businesses and everything. But one thing I loved about the insurance was like, you can pay, and I'm just thinking about a case I had in my head. You
Mhm.
can pay $35 a month. And
Mhm.
if God forbid you pass away, you're leaving your children $500,000,
Yeah.
who now you broke the back of poverty in your lineage,
Yeah.
right? If you set it up a proper way and have the kids have it, in investments and things like that. And that's the kind of stuff, Stella, that especially people in my community never get educated on. you
Yeah.
know and so that's what I loved about it, was the education piece. And I was very passionate about that, because I'm like, if I can help families break the poverty in their families,
Yeah.
hello. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? We could change the game, right? And
Yeah.
so now you've built a team, like you got, 100 plus person remote team. So I need to ask, like, what is the secret, girl? What is the secret in developing like high performers, right? Especially in today's world, I find it to be super challenging.
Yeah.
Even in the careers that I do, because I now help restaurants build out like menus and standard operating procedures and teams and all that, right? Because I've
Mhm.
25 years of experience in culinary, so that's what I do. But
Yeah.
even in that, it's difficult to recruit good people, or people who are willing to dedicate their time and do the thing. So Spill the beans, Stella.
Yeah, I mean, you're totally right. And you kind of nailed it too with what you're saying. So, recruiting top talent is one of the toughest things across the
Hmm.
board, right? And so, I tend to believe that looking for the believers is easier than converting the non believers. Like, I wouldn't say easier, I should
Yes.
frame that. It's not easy,
Hmm.
but,
Hmm.
in the front end, it's really hard. But once you actually find those high caliber people, it actually makes the business run so smoothly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then once you do have those people, you got to give them a system they can rely on, because that's the other shortcoming is I've had people on my team that were promoted into a position of leadership that perhaps weren't refined enough yet, and that's okay. But they would get somebody that was of higher caliber and they couldn't handle them. Like you know
Hmm.
what I mean?
I get that. Hmm.
So, looking for the top talent is the first piece, and then having the best systems, training, coaching, everything you can, really the platforms to give them the highest chance of succeeding, because otherwise you're going to have that talent go somewhere else. So,
Yeah. So
yeah.
how do you know though if somebody's like high caliber or somebody's just excited in the moment? Because that's something too, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this person's going to be my top performer, and then they are not your top performer. So, do you have markers or things that you look for?
We operate based on milestones mostly. And milestones just mean it doesn't matter if you've been in training for a week or a day. If you're ready for the next step, you're ready for the next step. And I think that that's
Mm,
the most important thing too in
I
a
like that.
university.
Hmm.
Yeah. Like for me, one of the biggest things that I've learned in my experience is that the amount of time you put into something is so irrelevant compared to what you put into the hour. When you learn to be effective and efficient with your time, it changes your life. And
Hmm.
there's this fallacy that all of us carry around that being busy is a good thing. Like being busy work is
Yes.
not your life's work. You know what I
Oh
mean?
my gosh.
So
Yes.
so that's why I think that having milestones is so much more important in an organization than just telling people we have a 1 week training cycle, we have a 90-day process, we have like it, whatever. It doesn't matter if you get the 1 week done in 1 day, more power to you. You're a top performer, So our markers are pretty simple. Once you get through the licensing process, which a lot of the folks we hire actually don't have licenses, so we walk them through how to get their license. And again, the faster they get through it, the more committed we feel they are right off the bat. Like if they get through it, I got through my licensing in 5 days. It was, crazy.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
was done, right? So that shows us a certain level of hunger and drive right off the bat. And then once they pass the exam, they file for the license within 24 hours. We plug them into our training, which is daily. We have a classroom trainer that teaches everything on Zoom. And in that training, they get the sales script. Our sales script is built on three fundamentals: authenticity, exclusivity, and urgency. Why they should buy from you, why they should buy this product, why they should buy today. That's it. As long as you can hit those three fundamentals in your presentation or conversation, I should say, you'll generally sell at the end of it. And I can break down the psychology behind those three because I built the script based on what works, not
Hmm.
over talking, not spending 2 hours on Zoom with somebody, but getting to the point and getting the three main things across.
Hmm. Hmm.
So if they get that sales script done in 24 to 48 hours and they can present to me as if I'm a client and sound good and confident and know what they're doing, they're already way ahead, because a lot of people take 10 days, 2 weeks, to get this thing down, which shouldn't take that long. But a lot of people distinguish themselves from the noise when they're that much quicker and they're that much more focused and they can just get it done.
Yeah.
And once they pass the sales script, if they sound good and they get the green light from us to get going with sales, we plug them into our systems, they get their client base, and they start selling the next day. And usually the
That's
folks
great. That's
that get
really great.
yeah, the folks that get those things done a lot faster than most, are the ones that stand out and are top of
Mhm,
for sure.
mhm.
Yeah.
That's really good, right? Because you are, it sounds to me like your system is completely setting them up for the success that they need, right? Like, I know, well, again, this was a while back, but when I was doing it, I remember just having to try to plug into all my family and friends and all our neighbors and all the things, right? I had no client list. I had nowhere to start. It was very, very difficult, actually. I found it to be very difficult.
Yeah.
And although people were listening, I think one of the things was the person who was like helping me, or mentor or whatever, was taking too long to get to the point.
Yeah.
Right. And that was some of the feedback I got, which was actually good feedback. They were like, well, I didn't need to hear, 45 minutes of something. It just sounded like a long sales pitch. And I was like, yeah, I said, that's good. That's good feedback. Right. And then I just started cutting it down to just being straight and real. And this is what it is. And what do you think? You know what I'm saying? Like, well, how do we move you forward?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
That's the reality, and it's so again, it's another fallacy. It's the
yeah,
same fallacy that people fall for, where it's like the more time I put into something, the more likely it's going to be valuable, or
yeah.
I feel like I put in the work.
My gosh,
Or
that's so true.
same thing with sales. The more I talk, the more likely they're going to buy. No, it's
No,
the complete opposite.
no. And there was some sweet spot in that whole talk where you had them and you kept going,
And you kept
right?
going. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
I mean, that's so funny and so true. You know, I do coaching, right? So I also help women build coaching businesses and all that great stuff, right?
yeah,
And I was giving them a year with me. They were in the cohort for a year. We would do the whole thing, whatever. But I realized that since I gave them a year, they took a year.
yep,
You know what I mean?
yes. That's yeah,
Right. And then when I started to shorten it, I'm like, okay, guys, no, 6 to 8 weeks. Let's punch this out, whatever. It was so much more effective. And I'm like, that is such good feedback,
yeah,
because you think that I'm going to give them all of my time, my love, my dedication, my commitment, my team.
yeah,
And no, they'll wait till like day 360, four to
yeah,
say, okay, now
yeah.
I'll start. And I'm like, wow, that is so interesting, Stella. So I'm glad you brought that up because you're right. I think if somebody's listening to you right now and is thinking, this is something I wanted to get into, but I don't know if I even have the way of starting or getting nurtured, or because we can all go and get our licenses, but
Yeah.
if you don't have somebody to help you, to mentor you, to push you forward, to give you maybe somewhere to start, that is a very hard thing to do,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah.
I want to know, for all of the young professionals, or the people who are entrepreneurial and they're listening right now and they feel like stuck or
Mhm.
maybe limited in their circumstances, or they don't know how to move to the next thing, like what do you feel like would be their first step forward with rewriting their own American dream, their own entrepreneurship, maybe going after what you're doing? What do you think is the first thing they should do?
Clarify, for sure.
Mm,
So there's this great Warren Buffett quote. He said that if you really want to understand what matters to you in life, sit down one afternoon and write your own obituary. So I think that's such a powerful
so
and
good.
deep starting point where
Hmm.
there's so much noise, and a lot of us chase the thing that we see on social media because it's flashy and whatever,
Yeah.
which gets really distracting because that's how you find yourself jumping from one thing to the next and not knowing where to start, not knowing what you even want. Like, what do you really want at the end of the
Hmm.
day?
Hmm. Hmm.
I have a very deep sense of clarity in what it is that I want, and it has very little to do with a Lambo or a Rolls Royce, or it's like,
Yeah,
even,
right.
even if I want it and can afford it and whatever, like, I don't really care to have one because it's not something that's deep rooted for me. You know what I mean?
Right,
So
me too.
that kind of thing, not to knock it, because exotic cars are nice and a lot of people enjoy them, and whatever you enjoy is totally fine. But I think that if it's something you're going after because you're programmed to want to get after it, or because it's a symbol of something that you want to be loved for versus something that you genuinely enjoy, like a cup of coffee in the morning or whatever,
Hmm. Hmm.
it's very different. You know what I mean? So writing down what you'd want to be written in your obituary is one of the most important things, and like one of the most revealing things about your sense of drive and purpose in life. For me, there's a sense of community I like to build around me. I have this driving force in my life that if somebody is in my life or I'm in their life in some capacity, I want to feel that they're better off because I'm in it. I want to
Yeah.
feel that there is some level of impact that they have because I took part in their lives in some form, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
I have like an analytical brain, so I love to create better systems and platforms. We just released a brand new training system that it took a year to build with the software development team, and we're just releasing it right now. So our scripts are fully refined. It's like really good stuff that's straight to the point and all that. I'm going after testimonials with clients. So I'm working with Globe Life, like the major corporation, to get after that and then like put it out there so people see this is what you're working for. Because I think like getting salespeople to understand the value they bring is way
Mhm.
more important than teaching them the product. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? The product obviously is the mechanical stuff, but sometimes you get lost in like the data and the numbers and the noise, when really it's here's a testimonial of how this person's life or this family's life changed
Yeah.
because of what we do.
Mhm.
So putting that in front of folks, and especially salespeople, I think is way more valuable. So I'm working on that. So all of that to say, my purpose is mostly driven by building relationships, communities, and giving people a better platform system to fulfill their dreams and their needs.
I
Um,
love it.
so clarify what you're going after and then get after it one step at a time, one day at a time.
All right. Well, we need Stella in our life, right, to do that. So, before I wrap up and let you go, because I kept you a little more than I wanted to, but than I told you I would, but I just really like you and I like what you're putting out in the world. But what I like the most is your honesty, right? Like the honesty from the beginning. This is hard, blah, blah, blah. You didn't give me a pitch. You didn't say, oh, it's easy or just sign up. And thank you for that, right? Because I call out bullshit when I see it, and I just like that you were not bullshitting. So and I really appreciate that, Stella. I really do. My son also, he's like in insurance right now too. He does a little bit of it. He's kind of like playing around with the idea of whether or not he really wants to dig into it or not. And I'm whatever, whatever you want to do. But I like, so I'm going to show him this is what I'm trying to say. Cause I like your like candor and the honesty and the realness and the systems, which are super important. So how do people work with you? Like, how do they get in contact with you or, to explore this with you? How does that work?
Yes. Listen, I am constantly looking for top talent, not even, I shouldn't say talent, but people that are driven. I've seen a lot of talented folks do very little with that talent. So if
Right.
you don't have, experience in sales or insurance is not something you've ever done before. I was the same when I got into it. I didn't know what I was doing, but you go through what's called baptism by fire. You dig right in and you bet on yourself. And I think if you have the right mentorship and the right systems, then generally speaking, I mean, I have a 19-year-old that did 11,000 in sales in 48 hours, and he's in college and he's never done
Right.
that before. So
Good
it's
for
like,
him. Good
yeah,
for him.
yeah. So it's
That's
just
awesome.
the drive and a little bit of cockiness, maybe just like, yeah, I'm good,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the
Exactly.
systems. Yeah. So people usually reach out to me on social media. That's like the number one way you can get in touch with me. It's Stela Roznovan, Stella with one L, and then ROZ. If you type that in, I'll pop right up. It's just going to say TEDx speaker, runs a 7-figure insurance agency. DM me, message me. I will get back to you right away. I'm always on there. So yeah, if
Oh,
you're it,
I love it.
I'll talk to you. Yeah.
You are awesome. Thank you so much for coming on and like clarifying all those things for me and also just giving people hope because they need to realize that you don't have to be a freaking genius to do this or maybe you've been thinking about how do I get into sales because that just can bring me more income and stability because believe it or not sales is tough but sales everybody I've spoken to who's really good in sales have a good life like they have their 401k, their annuity set up and, all of that stuff set up. And they're really thinking about future, right? And also about the person that they're serving. And I think that's important, Stella, because I've met people who are in insurance just to get the dime and you can tell right away. It's that used car salesman thing I was talking to you about, right? But then you get somebody who really gives a hoot about you and they really want to see you succeed in your life too because insurance is important. And so Stella, I really appreciate you seriously and your time and your candor, all of that. I'm loving you, girl. I'm loving you. So I'll make sure I'll follow you everywhere you are. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being with me.
You too, Nina. Thank you. And you know what? I want to add one little thing here because you
Yeah.
mentioned you're like, hey, listen, you don't have to have the background, whatever. I want to just add one little thing because I think people misunderstand. You don't have to have a PhD or a master's or even an undergrad to do extremely well. And not just in insurance, but in life. Like if you're really good at sales, I'll give you a quick example. One of my colleagues, he runs an insurance agency within the same company. He's on pace to do over 2 million in income this year in income.
Wow.
He failed his insurance test 3 times. So
I love it.
that's an example of listen, you know what I mean? As long as you got the grit, you got the drive, and you got the
Yeah.
heart, you can make great things happen. So
Amen to that, girl. Yes. All right. Guys, I know, right? Stella's amazing. I'm going to make sure to link all of her information below, especially where you can follow her and contact her so that all of you who are out here with that heart and desire to do something more, something different, something you haven't tried yet, but really are game to do it. Well, she's looking for really, really, people who are not just in that space of high performing, but actually willing to go ahead and kind of like put your mouth put your money where your mouth is, because a lot of us want to have all of these things in life, but then we're not willing to do the things to get there. So Stella's your girl. I'm going to make sure to link her information below. I love you guys so much. This is Neena Perez, straight talk, no sugar added. And make sure you share. Guys, I'm looking at my numbers. Like, you guys are like 120,000 views and blah, 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 blah. Could you that little subscription button down here? Click the damn button, y'all. All right. Love you. Talk to you soon. Bye.